Well, let's get more on the seizing of two U.S. Navy boats by Iran. National security analyst Arash Aramesh joins me from Los Angeles. Good morning, Arash. Now, one gets the sense that neither sides particularly want this incident to escalate. Do you think that's a fair reading of the situation?
Well, I can say that the U.S. Navy and its personnel, its sailors, its officers are trained to show a great deal of restraint. They never want to be the aggressors in a situation like this. Now, when a rigid inflatable hull boat, and I'm assuming this is one of those RIHBs, a small vessel, usually manned by a number of enlisted personnel and a junior officer, that is used mainly for patrolling for security reasons in the Persian Gulf or for psychological ops or for handing out flyers to fishermen, to local vessels. When a vessel like this comes under threat, we should wait for all the facts to come out to see why no one engaged the Iranian IRGC vessels in any sort of hostile, firing or returning fire. But as we know, they showed a lot of restraint. They let the vessels to be boarded. They let the vessels to be towed into Iranian territory. And as we know now from what the Department of Defense has said, one or perhaps both of these vessels were disabled and were waiting for repairs to come. Now, on the Iranian side, this is IRGC area of operation, the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. While the government of President Hassan Rouhani and his foreign minister, Mr. Javad Zarif, are not interested in escalating tensions with the West or perhaps with the United States, I can't say the same thing with a degree of certainty about Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader, or the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that is definitely one of the more hardline elements within the power structure in Iran.
So, Arash, how is it being greeted in America? I mean, it comes just weeks after Iran launched a rocket test near U.S. warships and boats that were passing through the Strait of Hormuz.
It's not being viewed positively at all, especially given the fact that in less than 2 hours, the president is going to deliver his very last State of the Union address speech, in which he's probably going to highlight some of his most successful legacy points and his achievements, one of which, according to the administration, is the Iran nuclear deal. The Iran nuclear deal that the administration has invested a great deal of political capital on. Well, we see now that, again, there are elements within the Iranian government that are, at the very least, are not acting in a friendly manner. There is a possibility that in the past few weeks, these hardliners, after attacking the Saudi embassy in Tehran and now launching missiles in the Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, so close to American ships and vessels in the Persian Gulf, and now capturing, or as some in Iran would like to put it, rescuing these sailors, maybe they are trying to create obstacles in the path of this so-called moderate government of Mr. Rouhani and Dr. Zarif, the foreign minister. But again, it's not being viewed positively. The president was hoping, and his team were hoping, to get these sailors released as soon as possible before daylight in the Persian Gulf, so he could go to Congress with sort of good news, but that's not going to happen most likely. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what the Republican opposition would say in terms of president's foreign policy legacy, especially with the Iran deal and tension of hostilities between Iran and the United States of America.
Arash, you speak of these hardliners. How much influence do they have within Iran and indeed on Iranian foreign policy?
Well, plenty. And that's just saying it in a nutshell, plenty. What we got to keep in mind is that Iran is a country of paradoxes, for that matter. On the one hand, an election was held, a moderate government came to power to try to address some of these issues, economic issues that were directly linked to U.S. sanctions and global sanctions because of Iran's nuclear program and its nuclear ambitions. On the other hand, there are elements within the Islamic Republic of Iran that are not interested at all in reaching a rapprochement with the West for ideological reasons and for economic reasons. Now, Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader, he's also the commander-in-chief. He was never very positive about nuclear rapprochement with the West, and the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, reports directly to him. And there's a reason why it's them and not the regular Iranian military that is in charge of protecting Iran's waters in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, because they view the Persian Gulf as sort of the American lake, and they are very much threatened by U.S. presence in the Gulf, providing security. So hardliners do yield plenty of power. And as we're going into elections in the next few weeks in Iran, they will try to curtail Rouhani and his, crowds' influence and popularity. But they do have plenty of power within military, intelligence, and especially the coercive apparatus of the country.